For garbage, we got Joko Piano, Alekines, Budapest Gambit, Italian 4 Knights, Exchange French, Fred.
Oh, Exchange French wasn't garbage? Okay. Fred, okay.
Deservedly. Fred. And then you have it right after that. It's Fool's Mate, Latvian Gambit, Grob.
Okay. So Juco Piano, Alekines Defense, Budapest, 4 Knights, Exchange French, Fred, Fool's Mate, Latvian, Grob, and Jerome.
Yes.
Okay.
And
cool.
everything else? Wait, Nimso Larson attack. Yes. Yep.
Okay, cool. So then, yeah, for some reason it only took off the garbage openings from the whole list. I wonder why. Okay, so yeah, so we were discussing the Pirc, right? We were discussing the Pirc, which was E4, D6, D4. Or wait, sorry, I have to do an analysis board. 1 second.
Yes.
So we were doing the actually it's off. 1 second. Why is it off? 1 second. Right. Okay, so yeah, so we were discussing the Pirc defense. So D4, D6, E4, G6, or E4, sorry, E4 and move one. So E4, D6, D4, G6. I'll invite you, by the way, Levy.
I've been here.
Well, I invite you to the board.
Oh. Okay, cool. I'm here.
Yeah. So let me make the proper moves. It's not D4. It's E4, D6, D4, G6 with Bishop B7, Knight F6. So, no, it's not DDoS, you guys. My power went out. It's Florida. Like, we don't have any infrastructure down here because nobody pays any taxes. All right. So, you thought this was garbage? Was that what you thought?
I didn't think it was garbage. Do you think it's garbage?
I don't know. I mean, I think objectively it's holding. That's why I'm moving to California. I probably won't have the same issues, that's for sure. But anyway, without making it like that, right? So I think what I would say is that at the highest levels, it objectively I think is holding if you play it precisely. You know all the right moves. I do think it's slightly dubious though. It's a hard move to play. So right. So what do you think?
I would agree. I think that at the highest of levels, as I was saying, I don't know what the last sentence you heard was, but I said that out of 10 games, you're likely to see this 2 max, 2.5 out of 10. So it's got to be, it's not legit. It's got to be really bro.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I think you can play it, but usually when you play it, like especially when I've played it and over the board, usually it's in a situation where it's a must-win game. So you're trying to create imbalances by putting your pawn on d6 and g6 and playing a different setup. So I kind of agree. I think it goes in really bro, but I think it goes quite high. I think it goes like in the 3rd slot on really bro. So that's where I would put it. So next up is the Polish opening. Sorry, what is the Polish? Is that b4 on move 1?
1b4.
Right, because when I think of b4, the way that it was taught to me is that this is the orangutan, not the Polish. Yes. But okay, so b4 on move 1 is the Polish opening. I think it's considered reasonably okay. It's not actually losing by force or anything like that. Normally black can play like e5 or e6 or d5. What do you think, Levy?
Yeah, it's not losing by force, but it's still garbage because it's not even tricks only, right? Like, what trick is there? You know what I mean? Like, is the trick that they're gonna hang g7? We're talking about grandmasters.
True.
So it's crap.
Okay, like, I kind of agree. Actually, I think it's bad opening, but it's not very bad. Like, I think you can still play it and get a game. So I would probably put it at the very top. Or does it go at the very? I think for me it goes at the very bottom of really bro, because I think you can play it and you're not losing. I think you can get a decent position. So to me, I think it goes at the bottom of really bro.
Okay.
So all right. So next up we have the Ponziani opening, right? Or sorry, Ponziani. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. What's Ponziani? Sorry. So this is another opening that was featured in the PogChamps, or it wasn't featured because, or no, it was featured, which is E4, E5. Knight c3, knight c6, pawn to c3. I showed this to to Mr. Ludwig himself. And I think he played it, but he messed it up pretty quickly. I forget who he played it against.
Box, no? Or some, no.
I don't remember who he did it against. No, he played against XQC.
Yes, XQC.
And he lost. So yeah, what I would say about this opening, I think it was XQC, maybe I'm wrong, but I played this as well. I played this in the US Championship one time and I lost very resoundingly. Oh, I showed this to Nate Hill as well. Yeah. So what do you think?
I think that this opening is bad, but it has some tricks. So tricks only?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think I think I would agree with that. It's got to go in tricks only, but the question is, where does it go? I think as I look at this, I think it actually, why is the hippo at the top? No, the Benoni's better than the hippo.
Ooh.
I think it goes here. It's below the Benoni because Benoni is playable. But it's definitely better than the hippo or the fried liver or the gambits. So I think it goes. It's got to be the middle of tricks. And chat, when we talk about the Juco piano, we're talking about C3 D4. We're not talking about C3 D3. That's we called that the Italian. The list is not perfect, but we made a list, and I'm sure someone will come up with a better list or figure it out. But this is the list that we came up with. All right. So next up we have the Portuguese Opening, right?
Yes,
Portuguese. Yes. So this is this E4 D5? It's E4 D5, right?
Yeah, it takes knight F6, I think.
Knight F6, right? And then it's like C4 bishop G4. I think this is the Portuguese Gambit. I don't know why it's called the Portuguese Gambit, you guys. I really have no idea, but it's called that.
A very solid candidate for tricks.
Or is it specifically it's specifically D4 bishop G4. Sorry, specifically D4 bishop G4. And so this is something, I forget who it was. Way back in the old days, there was some 2100 guy who always played this against me. When I was like expert, or I was like 2000, 2100. There was some guy who always played this, and I know that I thought at the time that it was really bad after F3 bishop F5. Right. I think it's bishop b5, and recently I think I've had this a couple of games when I've just mouse slipped in the opening against Daniel Naroditsky. So I don't think it's a great opening. What do you think, Levy?
No, it's tricks. If white doesn't play the critical line, then black has some tactics, but if white just, you know, in the words of Hikaru, gotta be a man, just play f3, play g, play all these critical refuting moves, then it's it's just tricks.
Just tricks. Okay, yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think it's, where does it belong, I guess, is the question in tricks. I'm gonna assume that it belongs, I think it's better than the fried liver objectively, because everyone's ready for the fried liver. Better than the hippo? No, I don't think it is. I think it's definitely the middle of tricks only. To me, that seems pretty clear cut in terms of where it belongs. Okay, so next up we have the Queen's Gambit. So Queen's Gambit, of course, is D4. There are many ways to play it. The traditional old school way is D4 D5 C4 E6, and white can play knight C3 or knight F3. Many different setups. One of the oldest openings, one of the openings that's been around the longest, and it has withstood the test of time. So what do you think, Levy?
Legendary. Probably the shortest conversation we have to have besides the Najdorf. The only question is it the second most legendary opening in existence? Or third?
Yeah, we have a different thought process. So to me, I view it the other way. I think it's one of the most solid openings that's been around for the longest. And many world champions like Emmanuel Lasker were essaying it in the 20s and 30s. Capablanca, Alekhine, all these guys. I actually don't think it's a legendary opening. I mean, I like the opening, but I don't think it's legendary.
Then it's a top tier unbreakable for you. Yeah,
I think for me it's probably.
Wow.
I think it's probably second on the unbreakable list. It's just so solid and it's been around so long. I don't think it's legendary personally. I mean, maybe it is, but I just don't see it as legendary.
But are you thinking about this from black's perspective or white's perspective?
Kind of both.
Okay.
I just when I think of it, I think of something that's super solid and just like very hard to play against it. I just think it's unbreakable. Right, I love my chat is going insane. They're going completely insane or we're putting it as
all right. Well, I you know, I like it. Well, we can agree to disagree, but
wow, yeah, my chat is going nuts. They totally don't like that.
Somebody meant to write most OP opening for white ever, wrote most pop. It's definitely not pop. It's the Queen's Gambit.
Right, yeah.
Like, all right, so I don't know. Are you gonna get overruled, or are you gonna stick to your opinion?
I think I'm gonna stick to my opinion. I think it's just it's unbreakable, but I just don't think of it as a. I don't know. I don't think of it as a legendary. I don't know. I just don't.
Okay.
Are you insane? Are you insane? Take that back. Are you insane?
Are you intoxicated?
Yeah. I think for now I leave it there. I'll take a look at the list one more time at the end just to see. Okay. So next up we have the Réti Opening. So the Réti traditionally is very similar to the Catalan. It usually features a knight f3 and some kind of g3 setup. But normally you play some kind of early c4. Something like this, and you don't really push the pawn to d4. You can play like b3, you can play d3. All these different setups is very close to the King's Indian attack, but it is different. So what do you think?
Unbreakable. I mean, it's mid-tier unbreakable of some sort, right? It's just so solid. Yeah, you don't think so?
I don't know. I think actually I would put it in legit personally. I mean, it's an opening that's very good, but I don't think it's an opening that generally has a lot of bite to it. Because it's just such a simplistic kind of setup. So I'd probably put it relatively high. Maybe I would put it in legit. That's where I would put it. I think legit. Like I think middle legit. Here we go again with the triple question marks. But I think it's legit. That's my ranking of it. So feel free to disagree, chat, but that's my ranking for now. Okay, so next up we have the Ruy Lopez opening, which is e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop to b5. What do you think?
It's a legendary opening. What more is there to say, right? You did say that the Italian doesn't belong at unbreakable state or at a legendary state, but you move the bishop one square further. One square beyond that is already losing, so you have to stop at b5.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, without a doubt, the Ruy Lopez is one of the legendary openings, one of the oldest openings, and all the world champions have played it more than once or twice. It's one of the most consistent openings for the white pieces. How high up does it go? I think for me it goes second. I think it would go second. It's just such a legendary opening. Everybody has played. I think it's second. I would put it number 2. I don't know. Somehow the Najdorf, I don't know. Should it be 2 or should it be 1 is actually the question.
It should be.
I think it's number 1. I think it's number 1. Yeah, I think it's number 1. It's just so encompassing. I think it's number 1.
I do think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to be number 1.
Because Najdorf is a lot less. It has a lot less of a legendary status, right?
It's just been around. I mean, it's a legendary opening, but it's been around for such a short period of time, relatively speaking. I mean, what's 100 years versus 500? Like, slight difference.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, guys, you were here after the reboot, after the power outage. You're all witnessing history. So.
So next up we have the Scandinavian Defense, which is pawn to e4, pawn to d5, pawn to d5, pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn. This is the Scandinavian Defense. Well, what do you think?
I think that if we were doing a club level video, we would rank this higher. This has been played. I've seen Magnus play this. But I've also seen Magnus play one knight a3, I'm pretty sure. It doesn't get played for a reason. It gets played sometimes. I even want to say it's not legitimate at Grandmaster level. Am I right?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think if White knows the right setups, and there are a couple of them, Black can get into a lot of trouble very quickly. I don't know, tricks. It doesn't feel like it's a trick opening. I think it's garbage. I actually just think it's garbage. So I would put it it's garbage
somewhere,
or it's really bro. I mean
somewhere John Bartholomew just like
I think it's at the very top of
profusely.
garbage. But I think it's garbage. I think it's garbage.
Oh man. Oh yeah, incoming half sarcastic tweet from John Bartholomew, which is actually nice.
Yeah, I think it's garbage. I think it's at the very top of garbage. It's just not legit. There are several ways that you end up in a lot of trouble. So I just can't rationally put it. I can't rationally put it at the, in legit. It's got to be at the bottom of garbage. So yeah, it's just the very top of garbage. All right. So,
wow.
So next up we have the Scotch Defense. Or the Scotch Opening, which is pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight f3, knight c6, pawn to d4, popularized by the famous streamer Felix Langell, as well as many world champions like Garry Kasparov, and even Magnus Carlsen has played it from time to time.
I feel like it's just a solid mid-tier legit opening. We've seen some Scotch. I think we saw like one pretty interesting Scotch, this h4 idea.
Mm-hmm.
There are different ideas within it, but everybody moves that bishop, so like people don't play d4.
Yeah, so I kind of agree. I think the Scotch belongs. I think it's a legit opening. Is it more legit than the London? I think it's probably on the same. It's definitely more legit than the Exchange Caro-Kann. So I'm going to put it right here in the middle of legit. That makes a lot of sense to me objectively. So, all right. So next up we have the Sicilian. So I think the purpose behind the Sicilian is, of course, we have different variations. So it's just black playing c5 on move 1 and just kind of the fundamental thoughts on whether this is a good move or not. What do you think, Levy?
It's good. There you go. Like that's the whole thing that we have. It's just Sicilian. All right, congrats. You played one of the top 2 most played openings in existence at the Grandmaster level. I don't know. Yeah, is it legendary? Is it unbreakable? It's mysterious.
I don't know. Because of the Najdorf, it's hard for me to judge. I don't know. What do you think?
Let's put the Sicilian at the level of unbreakable, because you don't know what's coming next. They only got one move in.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of agree, because I think it's the specific setup, but I think the opening itself, it's a great first move. So I think it goes at the very top of unbreakable. For sure. That's where I would rank it. For sure. Just because we have the Najdorf up there, you guys. Just because we have the Najdorf.
Yeah, because the thing is, Sicilian in and of itself, like you don't know what's after that.
Yeah, I think it goes at the very top of unbreakable.
I mean, your second move could be c4.
True, right.
Like you still played the Sicilian. You just played the
right. So all right. So next up we have the Sicilian Dragon. So that is e4 c5 knight f3 d6 d4 takes knight f6 knight c3 pawn to g6. This is an opening that has been played by many people. I played it quite a few times in the US Championship. I used to play it very frequently as well. Just an opening that many world champions have played again. What do you think, Levy?
Once again, I think it fits into the category of at a slightly lower level. If white is just going to be lazy in the opening and develop with no clear plan of attack, black will get a very decent position. But there is a very real reason everybody plays an opening that is not this at the highest of levels, right? So it's legit. Is it legit? Is the question. Does it count as legit? I feel like there's some wrinkles recently, so you tell me.
Yeah, I think it's more than legit. I think actually when I play it these days, I consider it to be a very solid opening, a very good approach. I have yet to see anybody prove why it's losing by force. So I actually think it's a very I don't think it's unbreakable, but I think it's at the very top of legit is my guess.
Okay.
I think it's at the very top of legit.
Okay, that's fair. But you wouldn't make it your main repertoire.
I was playing it as my main opening for quite a while, Levy.
But what year was this?
I mean, when I was already a Super GM, like 2015 probably. 2013, 2014, sorry. 2013, 2014.
I feel like that's that's commendable. That is pretty brave. That is pretty brave. All right. I'll rescind the defense rests.
I was already a Super GM, Levy. This is not when I was like 2,500 or something.
Okay. All right. I don't know what it's like to be that level, so I.
Okay.
But just to be clear, the dragon is more legit than accelerated dragon.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
It is legit, yeah. Right. Way more legit.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. Okay, so next up we have the Slav Defense, which is pawn to d4, pawn to d5, c4, c6. Now this encompasses just like the semi-Slav, just the regular Slav, all this stuff. What do you think, Levy?
Yeah, I wish I had a variation, right? Like, but the Slav is great. I mean, it seems like it's making a big push. Fabiano has played it recently. MBL has played it recently. I don't think it's quite unbreakable. I feel like it's very, very, very legitimate. But White just has so many options to like poke and press and get different things from the opening. So yeah, that's probably, I don't know. I think that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I would actually agree. I think certainly it's again an opening that I think it actually goes to the very top of legit. It's not unbreakable, but it's 100% worth playing. So I think definitely belongs at the very top of like legit.
All good Slavs, you have to rock the Tripolowski. So
next up we have the Smith-Morra, which is against the Sicilian defense on move 2. White plays pawn to d4, pawn takes pawn, and white goes pawn to c3. Now black can ignore it by pushing the pawn to d3, in which case it usually turns into the Alapin Sicilian, or black can take the gambit and grab the extra pawn. So Levy, what are your thoughts?
Okay, I don't think this gets played at GM level.
There is one GM who played it, but he wrote a book and then everybody found all the issues with his analysis.
Who was the GM?
Oh, sorry, is he not a GM? Oh, sorry, Mark is not a GM. Sorry. Okay. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I forgot that he's not a GM. Okay. For some reason I thought he was. Yeah, sorry. There's a certain IM who wrote a book on the Smith-Morra.
Yes. Yes. And I've seen him play it as well. And he'll say like page 37, and I'm like, that is a good memory. But it doesn't get played too much. But it doesn't really have a refutation, does it? It just
I think there are a couple lines that are supposed to be very good for black, like the line with knight c6, e6 and knight g7, knight g6. I believe there are a couple ways that black's supposed to be significantly better, but but again, it's one of these things that's very, very complicated, and there are a lot of options for both sides.
Yeah, but I think as far as GMs are concerned, you know, they don't play it a tremendous amount. I'm not even sure it ranks in legitimate because it's just not, right? Like it's not a legitimate opening.
I mean, I don't know. For me, I would say that it belongs in tricks, but I think it belongs very high in the tricks. Like it's I would say I'd put it, I might even put it second, because again, Mark got a winning position against Vishy Anand with it. So I mean, Vishy declined the gambit. Vishy declined the gambit. He played I think he played like knight f6 or something, and he still got a bad position. So a world champion like Vishy Anand was afraid of playing into it, knowing that it was coming. Then it has to rank very highly in the trick section, because Vishy is a guy who loves to prepare, and the fact that he was afraid of playing it, it's got to be high up in the it's got to be pretty high up in the tricks only.
This next one's fun.
The next one is the sodium attack. So what is the sodium attack, Levy? You can tell me.
Yeah, it's when you are salty in the middle of a match or an event or something. So you begin the game with one knight a3.
Okay, so you play knight a3. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've never seen this before. I mean, I know the move, but I've never heard of this being called the sodium.
Yes, you knew that the knight can go to the left on the first move.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, maybe tricks only.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting move. I don't know where I would rank it. I would say, where does it belong, chat?
Yeah,
I don't think it's legendary, because it doesn't have the reputation like the Bond Cloud. It belongs in garbage.
Well,
yeah,
Hikaru,
I mean, if you're salty after a game, then you are pretty bad at chess.
I don't
right?
know if you've.
So,
I don't know if you. I've added a wrinkle to this. We can maybe put this onto the next one, but there is a way you can play the sodium and turn it into the diamond opening. Have you heard of the diamond opening?
no, I haven't, but it's going at the bottom. I think it goes at the bottom
Okay.
of garbage for me.
Okay, fair. The diamond opening is when you play knight a3, knight b5, knight c3, knight b1, and then you start the game.
Oh, okay. So
you
so
make a
basically what you do
diamond.
is you make a diamond. So you go
Yes.
here. Is that a diamond?
It's close enough. I can't do much better on the first 4 moves.
That's not a diamond. That's I mean, I don't know.
Just remove the arrows and it looks like a diamond.
This looks like a diamond, Levy.
With the dots, yeah. It's I call it a diamond opening. Yeah, it's like
Definitely a different take on it. So what's up next? We have the Stonewall, and then we have the Tarrasch French. Okay, so the Stonewall is traditionally d4, knight f6, e3, pawn somewhere.
Right.
Say d6 or d5, and then you play f4, and essentially you develop where you put the 4 pawns like this, and then you develop your bishop and your knight behind the pawns. So what do you think, Levy?
Well, the question is it for black or for white?
I think we're talking about white at the moment.
Okay, the Stonewall opening for the white pieces. No, very bad.
Okay, and for black,
a little. Well, you didn't. Okay, a little better, I think. A little bit better, because the thing is with black is if you're playing the Dutch and you play the Stonewall, fine. But with white, why would you play this? You have so many other options, right?
True. Yeah, I don't know. I think if objectively, I think if you look at the formation, I think it's suspect, but I don't think it's just losing. So for me, where I would put it is I'd probably put it maybe down at the no, it's better than the Polish. It's better than the Grand Prix, probably. It's better than the Alpine, I don't think so. So I think it's bottom tier of really bro. I think that's where it belongs. So that to me seems completely correct. And then we finally have the last one, which is the Tarrasch French. So the Tarrasch French is pawn to e4, pawn to e6, d4, d5, and then knight to d2 here by white. What do you think, Levy?
Right before we got into this, I saw somebody wrote, I would say this is garbage. I'm not really sure why they think that. This is a very, like, on the serious note, it's a very respected thing, right? I mean, knight c3, knight d2, this is how you play against the French.
Right.
In fact, like, I've had this with the black pieces many times. I've played c5, a6, h6, knight f6, bishop e7. I've played everything, and nothing satisfies me that much. I'm not gonna lie. It's a pain in the ass to deal with when you play knight d2. So very legit. Unbreakable, you know, we've got a lot of other really, really good stuff in Unbreakable. So I don't know. I feel like I'm right on that edge.
Yeah, I think for me it's the same way, actually. When I look at the list, I think I know you guys, the opening list is not perfect. We didn't come up with every single opening, and I understand that. Obviously this was an original list. I'm sure someone else can come up with some additions and so forth to the list. What I would say is that when I play the French defense, it's probably the line that I'm least happy to see overall, because it's just so stable, and generally white gets a good position no matter what. So for me, I think what I'm gonna do, I would put it at the bottom of Unbreakable. I think it's an opening that's just so super solid, and from what I've seen of it, white just always gets a good position. So for me, I think it goes at the absolute bottom of the Unbreakable, because it's just something that's just, it's like a poor man's setup that just works. Like, you just don't get into trouble.
Yeah, I think the list that we had today was just over 50. There was a couple missing, like Evan's Gambit, and obviously some Gambits.
Like the Vienna was missing. Evan's Gambit, yeah. Vienna.
We actually even had a graphic for the Vienna, but somehow when putting it together, yeah. So I won't spoil that. But if there's any other,
Nimzo also. Nimzo was missing. Nimzo, yes. Maybe the Queen's Indian, possibly.
Yes.
But I feel like overall we came up with a pretty good list.
I think we did. If there's anything that we're missing, obviously let us know. There's a lot of different iterations and names and setups, and also a friendly reminder, again, this is for grandmasters,
right?
So this is what you would expect at the GM to super GM level. in all formats. What's the next one that we should do? Should we do like Class A up to Master, like Road
Probably
to Mastery?
something like that. Yeah, I would say something along those lines would make sense. Yeah, something along those lines. But again, we're gonna have plenty of time. You chat. We're gonna do another list for a slightly lower level, and for that one, we will add in some of the additional openings that we forgot to add today. Scandinavian is wrongly placed. I think Scandinavian belongs exactly where it belongs.
The premier ambassador for the garbage category. Yes.
Agreed. At the GM level, it is. At a lower level, it would not be here. It'd probably be somewhere like legit, honestly. But at this level for grandmasters, I think it belongs at the very top of garbage.